Hello, Tiger fans. Welcome to another edition of Inside Rockwood Tiger Football. I'm Mark Clem alongside the head coach of the Rockwood Tigers, head coach John Webb. Coach Webb, how you doing?
Doing good today.
Coach Webb, as we get started, let's look back at last year. It was 3 seasons in one. I look at it like we had 3 sections there. We started out great, 3-0, with a huge comeback win over Oneida, big win over Harriman. In the middle part, kind of let one slip away at Kingston. Lost 3 out of 4 with the low point coming with a big loss at Greenback. I think you challenged the team. We finished up 3-0 with a huge season-ending home win over Grace Christian. Talk a little bit about last year.
Well, I really hadn't thought about it, a whole lot of the way you thought about it being 3 seasons, but you're exactly right, Mark. It really was. We got off to a really good start last year. The guys came out of the gate. We had a great win up at Oneida. Was able to get off to a good start. Then, like you said, we went through a little bit of a slump our mid-season and didn't play very well. And I got with our seniors. We had a great senior group last year, and they pretty much took care of it. The way it needed to be taken care of, and got everybody going. Got back on track and finished the season, with some really good wins at the end of the year. Had a pretty good run going there for a while, and had a chance there in the playoff game. We went back to Oneida, and it was a really good ball game. Had a chance to do some better things and just couldn't pull it off. But overall, last year we felt like we had a really good season.
Let's talk about a couple of games in particular last year. I can't have an episode without talking about the big win at Grace Christian to end our seniors' career here last year. Talk a little bit about the Grace Christian game.
Well, anytime you play in a district rival, like Grace Christian or anybody else really, but that's become a pretty good rival for us over the last 6 years, and they've pretty much dominated the district throughout the years, and won the district again last year. And it's always good to be able to go out and be able to compete with those guys and just see what kind of football team that you've got, because that they've got a really good football team, and it gave us a lot of confidence by coming in here and playing well at home. It was senior night. We was able to go into the playoffs with a lot of momentum and feeling really good about ourselves.
Last game of the year, playoffs. It seems like every year it wasn't the last game of the year, it was their first playoff game. Seems like every year we have to go to Boyd Buchanan. Last year was not any different. 4th time we went down there, we were 0-3 going in. Touch a little bit about the big Boyd Buchanan win.
Well, if anybody's familiar with the way the playoff system's been the last 6 years, you really don't have any idea who you're playing until basically, the last week of the season. It's usually the Saturday after week 10. And you think who you might be playing, and then all of a sudden something happens way out west and changes the whole format of what's going on. But anyways, we got that draw again, and we've not been very successful over the last several years going down there. Whether it's been to Boyd Buchanan on several occasions or Silverdale last year, the year before last, and so we knew that we had to come in, and we know that they've got a great football program down there, and we had to change some things up. We went down and, that Friday game day was everything. We just changed it all up. The way we drove down there, where we eat, how we walked into the stadium and everything else. It's kind of corny, but, it's one of those things that I felt like we needed to do. And I'm sure it didn't have anything to do with how we played, but we was able to go down there and, play a good game and come away with a win.
Talk a little bit, you talked about the Oneida game. We're down 13-0 with 3 minutes to go, and practically everybody in there thought that game was over, but our team kept fighting, came back, and in a miraculous comeback won that game. And much the same way at Boyd Buchanan, we fumbled the ball late. People thinks the game's over. Jason Goss picks off a pass, and we came back and won that game. Just talk about how the team last year just was always in it and never quit to the final horn.
Well, and that's one thing about that football team last year. That group of seniors, they had been through so much. They had played so much football for us, and it was a special season in that regard, because they've got a lot of memories that they're going to be able to live a lifetime with. Starting up at Oneida last year, we played hard. I thought we played well, for most of the ball game, and it's 7-0 real late in the game, and we're trying to get the ball back any way that we possibly can, and somehow they slipped through and scored, missed extra point. It's kind of ironic that kind of happened right there, and 13-0, and we get the kickoff, and one play later, I think we have 72 yards and score, and Drake Long, of all people, we didn't even have a kicker. I didn't even have any idea who I was going to kick PATs with, going into that ball game. And, I had Drake Long kick it, and 13-7, we're going to try the onside kick. Wasn't the best onside kick in the world, and was able to come up with it. And then throughout that drive, we had a pass, and Drake Long caught a pass, fumbled it right before he went to the ground. Jason Goss picked it up. 4th down conversion right there, got it in, and our quarterback really grew up on for us throughout that ball game. And again, now we score. It's 13-13, and we're needing that extra point. We really don't have a kicker, but we rely on Drake Long so much, and he is able to kick it through. And somehow we found a way to win that ball game. We're still all sitting here in shock and wondering how that happened, but it was a good thing for us because it gives a lot of momentum going into the season.
I kind of figured on that 4th and 8 when we got a 2-yard pass and fumbled, and Goss picked it up and ran for 8 yards and about 3 inches. I knew we was going to win that game right there. Hey, looking at this year, 2015, last season, just a couple of weeks before the season starts, your quarterback moves to Oklahoma. We throw Will Warner into the fray, who basically hadn't taken very many meaningful snaps in his first couple of years. Just talk about how Will did last year and how that season's matured him, and over the summer what he's done to lead the Tigers in 2015.
Well, even though Will hadn't took a lot of meaningful snaps, he'd come out to practice every day, his first 2 years here. And, we had talked about it, going into his sophomore year, that he was right in there with, Neerman and another kid that we had, as far as, competition goes going into his sophomore year. And it came down to, we decided to go with the Neerman kid, the one that ended up moving off. And he did a good job for us, as a sophomore. And, so we really expected to have him back. And knowing that Will, had come in and never gave up. A lot of kids would give up and maybe move on to something else at that point. But he kept his head up. He came in here with a positive attitude every day. And just so happened, unfortunately, things do happen. And, we were down a quarterback, and, Will stepped right in, and, he took it up upon himself to, make sure. He always knew the offense. He knew it pretty well, and he's, a good pocket passer and does a good job throwing football. And, he just worked hard, and I think as the year went on, I think the Oneida game really helped him, give him confidence in, what he's doing out there, because he was able to make a bunch of big plays. At the end of the game, Will was over there calling the plays for me. Coach, let's run this, let's run that. That's something that you always want, out of your starting quarterback, be able to have that confidence in the whole football team. And, he had a couple of games last year that he didn't play the way we wanted him to, but overall, I felt like he had a great year.
Last year, you've already spoke about Drake Long a lot. We relied on Drake a lot offensively and in the kicking game. How are you going to replace his offensive output in 2015?
Well, the one thing about Drake had played so much football for us over the years. He knew the offense in and out. I could line him up just about any place I wanted to, and, we was able to try to find ways to get him the football. And, in our offense, that's something that you really don't want to do. We try to be a balanced offense as far as in a run game. And, we play a 3-back offense here, and, we try to get as many carries with one back as we do the others. But, the last couple of years, Drake's pretty much carried us. He's done a great job. He did a fantastic job last year, anywhere we wanted to, whether it's defensively or in the kicking game or the return game or anything like that. It's going to be hard to replace Drake. I feel like we got some really good guys coming back this year that, can take it upon themselves and, get that part of the game done. And, we'll just move on from there.
Talk about a few of the offensive guys that are going to see a lot of action this year for the Tigers.
Well, obviously, you got Will Warner, starting quarterback. He's coming back. We got a pleasant surprise last year towards the end of the season. And a kid came in, Isaiah Jones. He's a great athlete. Isaiah that will, he'll help take a little of that burden off what we, missed from Drake last year. Our passing game, I feel like, is pretty good. Our tight end, Nathan Briley, 6'6", 6'7", whatever he is. Good athlete that can catch the football. Austin Cooper, catches the football real well. Austin Brindley, another receiver. We've got some really good young receivers that's coming on, and I feel like we can do that. Jaden Woods, he played a lot of football for us last year as far as running the football and being in the backfield. John Hyman, is another kid. Ryan McCain, that's a kid we're looking for right now to really step up and be a part of this offense. So, we've got the pieces there. We just got to find a way to put them all together and, just mesh and try to get everything going in the right direction. We had a scrimmage last night. Felt like our offensive line did a great job, and I will talk about that here in a few minutes probably. But, we still had some technical problems in the backfield, not hitting the hole exactly where we want to. But, you know, we got a couple of weeks. We'll get that worked out.
Good deal. Looking at the defensive side of the football, we lost some big players from last year. Jason Goss, Dallas Strader, Tykel Hannibal, Justin Griffin, to name a few. What's the outlook for the Tigers defensively, and who are some of the guys on that side of the ball that are going to step up and help us?
Well, again, that's one thing that we always, have here at Rockwood. We always have, seem like we always have good senior classes. And I've told this bunch, they're not coming back. They're not walking back through the door. If they come to a ball game now, more than likely they're going to have to pay to get in, and that's unfortunate for them. But, we still got some good ball players, coming back. Again, Nathan Briley, he's played a lot of football, defensive end. He's long, he's athletic, he's hard to block. Jacob Wilson, another defensive end linebacker, just a great ball player. Wouldn't take anything for Jacob. He's not the biggest kid in the world, but man, he comes out there. He starts for us at center. Plays anywhere we want him to play. Long snapper on our special teams, and he just does a good job. You got Austin Lloyd. He's played a lot of football right now for us. Caleb Grant's really coming along. Dawson Brown. Again, you got Austin Cooper back there in the secondary. So we got some experience coming back. Again, we're lacking in a few spots, but that's what preseason's for, and that's what we're trying to do with our scrimmages and stuff. And you was here last night. We played a lot of guys. We rotated a lot of guys in and out right there, and that's just going to help us throughout the rest of the year.
Talking about the scrimmage last night, Scott County presents an offense that we're probably not going to see all year. Maybe somewhat with Grace Christian, but they run the spread. They run an up tempo. I thought, we had trouble stopping them there at the first, but I thought eventually we were in better shape and we wore them down at the end, and we kind of manhandled them there at the end. Just talk a little bit about the scrimmage last night with Scott County.
Well, I feel like we really got better as the scrimmage went on. It was kind of opposite from last week when we went down to Tennessee Tech and scrimmage Livingston and night. I felt like we got off to a good start down there, and as the scrimmage went on, we kind of slacked off a little bit, but there was a couple of cases for that. We went a long time there at the beginning, and then we took a long time off, and then tried to bring them back. There's no excuse. We got to be ready to play no matter what. But last night I felt like that we was able to come in and compete early with the team that we've scrimmaged the last couple of years, and they pretty much had their way with us the last few years. In the preseason, and last night we was able to come out here and we competed. I really felt like we got better as it went on. We kind of caught a second wind there for a while, and that's something that you always want to look for. You want to be able to finish things. We preach conditioning constantly. We run them all the time. We have 2 hours of practice where there's not a whole lot of standing around. People is moving around, and then we condition at the end, and I think that really pays off for us in certain times during the year.
Coach, our opener this year is with Midway. We go back to the traditional Thursday night game. How do you like playing on Thursday night, being the only game in town?
Well, I mean, it's exciting for our communities, and it's really exciting for our football team. And the only bad thing about it is we got to get up and go to school the next day. And I know it's hard. People don't understand how much effort these guys put in, and how tired they are after a ball game. And but it's something they got to do. I'm not sitting here again making any excuses for them. Whatever, I expect them to be there that Friday and be raring to go and whatever subject that they have to deal with that day. But it is, it's back. We did it for many years ago, and then we kind of Midway came into our district, and we've had to go away from it there for quite a few years. But it's really exciting to have us open up on Thursday with Midway being a county team, then have Harriman and Kingston open up on Friday night. The whole county gets to come out and support all these teams, and you don't ever get to do that hardly. Very seldom does that ever happen, and we'll have a lot of people here from Harriman and Kingston and Oliver Springs and everywhere else that Thursday night. And, hopefully here after this rotation, we'll be able to, we're talking about maybe getting Harriman and Kingston to play on Thursday night and letting us go to Friday, because that is, it is hard for us to do that every year. But our kids seem to handle it. I think we did it last year with the Grace game. And so it's one of those things we have to deal with, and, we seem to handle it okay. But it ought to be an exciting night for us, both teams.
Got a couple of newcomers on the 2015 schedule. Looks like Tennessee Christian and Austin East. What can you tell us about those 2 teams?
Well, don't know a whole lot about Tennessee Christian. It's one of those things that when we did schedule, we knew we was going to have 6 district games, and obviously we were going to pick up our 3 county teams with Midway, Harriman, and Kingston. Midway and Harriman dropped out of the district; they went to a different district. So, that leaves you 9 ball games, and I'm one of these type people that when it comes to scheduling, I'm very impatient. People don't understand how hard that is. You get a certain few days there you know, there's 300-something teams in the state of Tennessee, and we're all looking for schedules. And you know, we was at our district meeting, and I heard about this team, and you know, I called them, and we was very fortunate to go ahead and pick them up, and I was able to go ahead and get that schedule done. And you know, that's always important for me because it absolutely drives me crazy. You know, Austin East, you know, traditionally is one of the better programs here in East Tennessee, has been for a long time. They're coming back into our district. They were in our district years ago. You know, great athletes, you know, very well coached, you know, and it's something that we're going to have to get ready for. And, you know, a little different type thing that we've had to deal with because we haven't been up there in a long, long time. And these kids don't remember it. So, but, you know, that's okay. You know, it's going to be exciting. You know, we're going to have a good time with it and move on and, you know, play it week by week.
Keeping our thoughts on the 2015 schedule, there in the middle, we got a tough little stretch starting out with Kingston, then Grace Christian, and then Harriman. You know, only one of those is a region game, but my goodness, three of the best rivalries that we have on our schedule. Talk about that little stretch.
Well, you know, again, I guess I've been asked that 1,000 times since the schedule's been put out, and why in the world did you put those three teams right there? Well, it was one of those things that was just very unfortunate. You know, when you draw a district schedule, you know, usually the district games are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, whatever. We knew we wanted to pick up Midway, week 1. We always play Kingston, week 3. You know, so we had 5 and 7 left over, you know, as far as that goes with Harriman. So we put them in there at 5, and then when I drew the schedule, it just so happened that that's where Grace Christian fell. So, you know, it's a tough stretch. You know, we've got a very challenging schedule. It's going to be tough, you know, week in, week out. Our kids are used to playing a tough schedule. You know, we always try to have good football teams on our schedule, whether it's district or non-district. And, you know, it's okay. You know, again, we're not going to make any excuses. You know, the way we're looking at it right now, we hope we can come out of there 3-0 in that group. You know, it may be tough. I don't know. But, you know, that's the way we're going to look at it right now.
Coach, looking at your staff, a lot of your staff's been with you a long time. Talk about how the continuity of your staff has helped in the success of our football program.
Well, it's I don't know how it is anywhere else, but you know, as far as me being the head football coach here, you know, it's great to have, you know, people like Coach Allen and Robbie Newby and Stephen Johnson and Matt Gaskins and Julian Anders and all these guys that's been here with us for a long time. You know, most of us are from Rockwood. You know, we understand, you know, what Rockwood football is all about, the tradition of it. You know, it's great for me to be able to come in here each and every day. I make out a schedule, and they look at it and they say, okay, here's what we're going to do. You know, I go to them and I say, all right, what kind of time do we need? You know, what do you need to work on today? And they can tell me, you know. So it's not like I'm having to sit here and do everything, you know, all day, every day. These guys are, as soon as they walk in, they go to work, you know, and they're working on their way out the door, you know, and that's just a blessing, you know, to have, you know, for me to be here as long as I've been here and to have these guys here with me as long as they've been here, and absolutely love it as much as anybody does.
Coach, season's almost on us. Jamboree's next week. Tell us a little about what a jamboree is and who we're going to play.
Next Friday night, we'll play at Harriman. The jamboree will be at Harriman this year, and we're going to end up playing Cumberland County. I'm not sure exactly what quarter or time that it actually starts, or even how long the quarters are. I think we're either going to play a longer quarter, so we're going to get some work in there, or maybe play 2 quarters. I'm not real sure, but you know, again, that's going to be a good test for us. You know, it's one of those things that, you know, we do in this community, whether it's, you know, in this town or in the county. There'll be a ton of people there. You know, Harriman will make a bunch of money off of it, and you know, it's great because it just helps support our programs even more.
Coach Webb, we appreciate you joining us. Tiger fans, it's just right around the corner. So get out next Friday, support the Tigers during the Jamboree, and get ready for the season opener Thursday night at Midway. So until our next episode, we'll see you at the football field.